Welcome back to 1834 Restoration House.
It's a beautiful fall day here in South Carolina at the Old Victorian, and it's been quite a while since we posted anything, and I apologize for that. I've been absolutely slammed with college, and
This semester is really hitting hard.
it's been bad. No, what happened was they signed me up for 4 courses, and it's just too much. So I'm spending all my time doing classes and homework and trying to hold down a job at the same time, which leaves no time for anything else. And we don't like that. So next semester I'm going to have them dial it back so that we don't have quite so much class load, I guess. Basically, we're going to go from 4 classes to 3 classes. I think that should help a lot. Anyhow, I decided to take a break from all that math and just spend a little bit of time with you guys. Recently, we showed you some antiques that we had gotten, and one of those things that we showed you was this antique viewer. Now, these were really popular back in the day because they didn't have television, they didn't even have radio yet. But the idea was that you could slip a picture in here and then look at it. But the surprise was that picture was 3-dimensional. And since we showed you this, another one of our viewers, his name is Neil, thank you Neil, sent us a small collection of some of these cards that were made to go in these. And so I'm going to demonstrate this now. So what you do is you slide the card in and then you look through it, and there are 2 lenses inside here that magnify the view and send one specific image to one eye, and they send the other specific image to the other eye. And so your brain sees these 2 completely different images. Now, the magic is in the picture itself. You'll see here that we have 2 images. They both look identical to each other. But what they did is when they photographed this, they actually had 2 lenses and possibly 2 pieces of film. I'm not exactly sure about that. But what they did is they captured 2 images simultaneously with 2 different lenses, and those lenses were a few inches apart. The thinking here was that if you could have your lenses a few inches apart, they're going to see a very similar yet slightly different view. And much like listening to stereo headphones, this is the same idea except visually. So even though they look the same, they're ever so slightly different. Like one's from this angle, one's from that angle. So then they print it, and this slides into the viewer. Like that. This card is actually a little bit too big for this viewer, so we'll just have to hang on to it here. So what we have here is a parlor scene. And now I'm going to look through the lens. Whoops, can't do it with these big glasses on. You have to slide this back and forth to get the image just perfect. But when you do, you see a really nice 3-dimensional image. Take a look at that.
Okay.
You may have to adjust it somewhat.
No, it's perfect. That is amazing. The photograph is not necessarily a 3D, but when you look through those lenses, it's a 3D image. You can actually see the distance between the piano and the people. That's impressive.
And even the chair looks closer to me than it does to the lady who's standing in front of it.
Right.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
So anyway, ancient technology still works great, and that's how people used to entertain themselves.
And we will be entertaining ourselves for a little while. We've got some really good ones that Neil sent us.
Yes.
Thank you again so much.
A lot of historical pictures. One of the pictures that was in there was the nation's Capitol building, and there's nothing there. It's just a building and a couple of horse-drawn wagons. So that was pretty interesting. There comes a time every year when the leaves start falling, and that means raking time.
Yeah. You know, during this fall season is also when we start doing a lot more canning. I'm enjoying that very much. Canning up soups and spaghetti sauces.
I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and revisit some things that we had done earlier. So this is the window for our foundation. And if you remember, in an earlier episode, we completely built this window ourselves and then did the installation of it, and more recently patched up this hole that was right here. And it's been holding up really well. We haven't seen any problems with water leakage, and the paint is holding up nicely. Every time we show this window, we always get a bunch of questions from you guys asking, why don't we lock our basement window? And the reason is, this is not a basement window, this is a crawl space. There's nothing under there but spiders and ducting. This here is something that we built not this past summer, but the summer before. It's a reproduction of the original water catchment system that this house used to have, which eventually got broken down and disintegrated. So we went ahead and rebuilt that back the way it was, hopefully a little better. And it's been working great. Now, one of the problems that we're having is that the outlet pipe right there keeps getting clogged because the grass and stuff grows up over it. So one of these days we'll have to cut that out and see if we can put a drain out there for it. But it's been working great and it looks nice.
Believe it or not, there are several garden beds in this area. Now, in the beginning of the year, we started building these garden beds. Then Mike got really wrapped up with his schoolwork, and we could not finish putting whole fencing around. I can't put fence posts in by myself. It's just too hard for me. So, needless to say, we were not able to get our garden going at all. But this is what happens when you don't tend to anything. Now I really need to get these boxes taken apart, get them out, put them away before the winter comes, and see if we can get this taken care of, because we won't be able to do a garden with this kind of a mess. So that's a big project for another day. I did try to grow a few different kinds of plants. The basil turned out not too bad, but I tell you, between the squirrels picking at them and digging through all of the pots and the bugs, it's not doing so well. I definitely need a fencing, and I need a lot more research to figure out what keeps these bugs away. Hopefully we'll do better next summer.
Welcome back to the great magnolia tree. As you know, if you've been watching for a while, this tree just towers over everything here. It's probably taller than the house is, and it's well over 100 years old. And it does put on flowers still. It's a great tree. And everywhere that it blooms, it puts out these gigantic seed pods here. And this one here is not quite mature yet. So what will happen is that this will open up and it'll be full of bright red seeds. So last year we tried to see if we can capture some of those seeds and make them available to you guys, but we mistakenly put it into a bucket, and then we covered it up one day during a rainstorm and forgot to uncover it, and we lost everything. So we're going to try again this year to see if we can capture some of these seeds. Stay tuned for that. Hey you guys, I'm sorry that this video is so short, but we were missing you guys and wanted to get something out there so that we could say hello and hear back from you. And there's not a whole lot going on here, but we're looking forward to doing more stuff in the future. But right now, I've got to just power my way through this semester and get those classes out of the way. And then after that, we're just going to dial that back a little bit and see what we can do here at the house.
So thank you for watching 1834 Restoration House. Hopefully we'll see you again real soon.